Hi everybody. Today we are going to be learning something new about fractions. So I hope that you watched my last video that was reviewing fractions because that will definitely help you out in today's video. So just to recap real quick what my last video talked about, when we break up a whole into different parts, we have to describe those parts, and that's where we have these new words to describe fractions. So when we break up a shape, a whole shape into two equal parts, remember that's called halves. When we break it up into three equal parts, that's called thirds. And when we break it up into four equal parts, that's called fourths. Now, today we're going to be using numbers to describe our fractions instead of just words. So over here, we have our two equal parts. I'm just going to label those 1 and 2. Now, only one part is shaded green. Not both, but one. Now, I would read that by saying 1 out of the two parts is shaded green, or 1/2 is shaded green, because I know there's two parts total, but only one is shaded. So I would say 1 out of 2. Now, if I'm going over here to three equal parts, which is thirds, again, I'm just going to label that here. I can see that only one part is shaded green and the other two are not. So out of my three parts, only one is shaded. So I would say 1 out of the three parts is shaded in green, or 1/3 is shaded in green. Now if we move over here to the four equal parts, which are fourths, label those as well. Now we have a total of four parts right there, but only one is shaded in green. So I would read that by 1 out of the four parts is shaded in green, or 1/4 is shaded in green. Now if you realized, I used those new words that we learned about halves and thirds and fourths when describing how they were shaded in. So going back to 2, since two equal parts are halves, I'm saying 1/2 is shaded in green, because there's only one out of the two that's shaded in green. For the thirds, I'm saying 1/3 is shaded in green, because only one out of the three is shaded in green. And over here, four equal parts are fourths, so I'm saying 1/4 is shaded in green, because only one out of the four is shaded in green. So we're just going to do some more practice with this. So over here, it's how do we actually write fractions with with numbers instead of words. So right over here, where my arrow is pointing, is how we actually write a fraction. We have a number that is separated with this other number with this line over here. That's how we write our fractions. So it looks different than any other numbers that you've seen. So we wouldn't read this number as 13. We would say this is 1/3, because it's 1 out of 3, just like how we did in my last slide. So I'm going to talk about what these numbers actually mean. So we have a top number and a bottom number. So my top number, I have my arrow pointed right to it, that's the number 1. That's my top number because it's at the top of the line. The top number, the name of it is called numerator. That's how we would pronounce it, numerator. We're going to be learning new words here, and they may sound scary because they're new, but you will get used to them the more practice that we do with them. So the top number of our fraction is our numerator. Now we have one more number at the bottom of the line here, which I will also draw an arrow to. That's our number 3. The bottom number is called our denominator. Denominator. They're more harder to say. So one more time, our top number here is called our numerator. Numerator. And then our bottom number is called our denominator. Denominator. So those are some new words that you get to learn about fractions. So we have this shape over here. We have this circle. I'm looking right over here now. We have this circle. Now this circle is broken up into 3 equal parts. And remember, 3 equal parts is called thirds. So I'm just going to label my 3 parts by my 1, 2, and 3. Now, to read this, there's only one part that's shaded in purple. So I can say 1 out of the 3 parts is shaded in purple, or I can say 1/3 is shaded in purple. And if I was going to write it as a number, I would write it just like this, 1/3. Now, I will tell you how I got this number. So, our numerator tells us how many parts are shaded. So if I look at my circle here, I could see only one part is shaded purple. So I would put my 1 first. We have my little line. My denominator, which is my bottom number, tells me what's the total parts this shape had. And I know that it had 1, 2, 3 parts. So I would write 3. So to read this, it's 1/3. I would say it's 1/3. And that tells me that only one part out of 3 is shaded in purple. So when we are given a shape like this with its different shades, we're going to have to be able to write it as numbers too instead of just words. So this is our new focus in fractions. So this was just an introduction to it, and we will be doing more practice about this throughout this week in our other videos. So just a quick recap. We have 2 equal parts is halves, 3 equal parts is thirds, and 4 equal parts is fourths. Then we also have that we can write fractions in numbers. Our top number is called our numerator, and our bottom number is called our denominator. Our numerator tells us how many parts are shaded. In my example with this circle, only one part is shaded in purple. My denominator tells me the total number of parts. And in this circle, there's 3. So that's where I would get my 1/3. So 1 out of the 3 parts is shaded in purple. Now, if I did it over here, I have 2 parts, and I'll draw my line first. So my numerator tells me how many parts are shaded. I could see only 1 is shaded in green. So I would write my 1. My denominator is my total parts. In this one, I only have 1, 2. So I would write that just like this. 1/2. 1/2 is shaded in green, or 1 out of 2 is shaded in green. If I did that over here for my thirds, I'm trying to see how many are shaded in. Again, there's only 1, so I would put that as my numerator, my top number. My denominator tells me the total number of parts. And over here, that is 3. So I would write my 3 at the bottom, and that's how I would write this in number form. So I would read that as 1/3 is shaded in green, or 1 out of 3 is shaded in green. Lastly, over here for 4, there's only 1 part shaded in green, so that would be my numerator. my top number. My denominator is my total number of parts. And over here for my fourths, there's 4 parts. So I'd write my 4 at the bottom. And that's how I would describe this shape. So I would read this as 1/4 is shaded in green, or 1 out of 4 is shaded in green. So now we are able to describe it in word form and in number form as well. And we will be practicing this throughout the rest of my videos that I will make about fractions.